Hello, everyone, and thank you for coming. This event is a panel discussion called The Future of Language Learning in VR Worlds, where we'll be talking about the past, present, and future of language teaching with modern technologies. It's a part of the Educators in VR Virtual Experience VR Language Team Conference, which is taking place today and tomorrow, featuring expert educators, researchers, instructional designers, world builders, and more to explore the potential for learning languages in XR. We're the Educators in VR the Language Team project. Our project explores learning languages and art of language in the virtual learning environment. We host regular meetups, workshops, special events, and conferences on the use of spatial technology in language education and training. I'm Ekaterina Semenyuk, known as Ginger in Otherspace, and I'm hosting this event. I'm the co-leader of the language team project and a teacher of English as a foreign language from Moscow, Russia. I have a background in foreign philology, the history and development of languages, and I used to learn 8 foreign languages. My professional experience includes working with foreign adult students in Sydney and with kids in the Moscow region. And our special guests today are Nergiz Kern, Heike Philp, Doris Molero, and Helena Galani. Thank you all so much for coming. It's a real pleasure to have you here at our panel. Would you mind saying a few words to introduce yourselves to our audience? Nergiz, would you like to
Shall I
start?
start? Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
you.
Yes.
Thanks again for the invitation, Gingerly. It's a pleasure to be here again. I'm the head of research at Immerse, immerse.online, the first language immersion program on the Oculus Quest, and also an independent VR for language learning specialist. I have an MA in EdTech and TESOL and 20 years of teaching experience, and I also taught in Second Life I think 10, 15 years ago. So it's been a while, teacher training, teaching there. Since 2020, I'm back and exploring virtual reality. And you can find more information about me on my website, nergizkern.com, with more information about virtual reality and language teaching. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Well, I guess I'm second in line.
Yeah.
So my name is Doris Molero, and I'm a professor at Universidad San Pablo de Tucumán in Argentina. But I've been teaching in virtual worlds for since 2009. I'm still there in Second Life, and I'm part of the team of Enudage. You are in Amplify. Okay. How to? Okay. Well, it's a pleasure to be here with you. I'm also part of the electronic village, TESOL Electronic Village. Then we will be happy to have you come join us too. And I hope that we can share some of our little experience in virtual worlds.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Doris. And next line is me. Myself, I'm Heike Philp. I'm German, based with my company Let's Talk Online in Brussels, Belgium. I have been involved in teaching a language at a distance in real time since 2003. And obviously the first 10 years were dominated by video conferencing. And led me to understand that lots of educators do need a little bit of assistance in determining how they should teach at a distance. So it is an art, and it deals with technology issues that led me to starting EU-funded projects to develop and to explore the expertise of teaching at a distance. So the first one was 2005 with Lancelot in video conferencing, and since 2009 I've done another. We are in the 4th EU-funded project to do with language teaching and learning in 3D environments. I'm a sim owner in Second Life and OpenSim. I also run Minecraft. Minecraft we've been doing in the last 2 years on the projects. Really, really exciting. This environment to work with kids who can build and communicate in real time and at a distance as well. And I've been involved in lots of VR solutions, a little bit disillusioned at the beginning, to be honest, because there was so little one could do in VR. However, in the years, and it's been like 5.5 years now, sort of since VR mainly came about, a lot has changed. And I'm very excited about, well, we did building projects in Frame VR and Mozilla Hubs and Spoke, you know, and we've done other building projects in various environments. We also explored various environments for language teaching and learning. And I'm saying we because I'm delighted to be part of a wonderful team where Doris and Helena, to my right, are part of, that we run on an annual basis, the EVO sessions that address hundreds and thousands of English teachers around the world because it's organized by TESOL. And so that's from my side.
And hello from me too. I'm currently based in Greece. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you so much for inviting me. I'm honored to be surrounded by like-minded colleagues and the members of my team whom I've been working with for quite a while now. I'm also a member of EduNation, both on Second Life and on Kitely OpenSim, our projects on Village online. And I'm the owner of an island on Kitely OpenSim, which is called ELT Treasure Island. My experience teaching both young learners, but also adults on this island and on Second Life is quite thrilling. I teach English to speakers of other languages in a blended online or flipped manner. And so my professional experience in teaching English, which is long-standing, I wouldn't like to give away my age, please. My avatar actually looks decent. So it's exciting to use the technology which is available to us, not for the tool itself, but for the learning experience these particular tools promote with any age groups of students. So, so far we've been using mainly Kitely or Second Life for storytelling and transmedia storytelling, to promote immersive scenarios, to use games, role plays, literature, simulations, whatever is connected with language teaching, including learning the language through art, through drama. So what excites learners most is the fact that they learn from technology, in technology, and sometimes they use technology as a topic. Well, of course, they get excited by using it as a tool, which is, it gives our lessons a completely different feeling. But I think that this kind of immersion is what makes them feel more enthusiastic and motivates them. So apart from this motivation that keeps the educator also immersed in the teaching experience, I think that this kind of accessibility and scalability that virtual worlds and virtual reality offer are the most exciting part too. Well, there is a lot to
Helena,
say.
I think,
Yes,
yeah, there's a lot to say. We will
there
come
is a
into
lot to say. Yes,
the actual.
but
Can I
in a
just mention
nutshell,
that
yes.
you're a wonderful educator who's also based in Greece and in a part of a town which is very conservative, and you managed to be a real pioneer in this field. Also locally, with
It's exciting.
you're promoting VR, well, virtual worlds learning and 3D learning,
Mhm,
and
mhm.
in a quite an conservative environment, and I think that is very admirable.
And that's what makes my teaching life exciting, really, and my students' lives too.
Thank you so much. It's amazing. Thank you so much for your introductions and for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah. Just a brief reminder to our audience, it's an interactive panel discussion, which means that you are very welcome to ask any questions to our panelists or give any commentaries or share your stories at any time. There is a raise hand button in your lower right corner. Once you have something to say or ask, please click it and wait for us to unmute you and amplify your voice. Thanks. All right, let's start our discussion with the definition. How do you define virtual reality?
Okay, maybe I can take that question. And it's an important one because many people think that virtual reality means you have to wear a headset. And this is how the term also generally is used these days and understood. But for me, virtual reality is actually, Second Life was mentioned here, OpenSim, Minecraft, all of these virtual worlds I define also as virtual reality. So you can think of it as a continuum, a scale if you want, or a line with low immersion, desktop VR on one end, and high immersion or fully immersive VR experience with headsets on the other or at the other end. So all of it is immersive VR if you want, but some of it is less immersive, some of it is more immersive. And I know from personal experience of feeling fully immersed even in desktop VR as well, and forgetting my physical surroundings, including my body, which I could, after a couple of hours in VR, I come back to my physical world and I feel that I was sitting in a very awkward position and my legs are hurting because I just, had forgotten completely where I was and how I was sitting because I was so immersed. And remember also that many VR platforms, such as AltSpace VR, where we are now, can be accessed from different devices. So some of you might actually be wearing a headset and others might have joined from a computer. So therefore you will hear us give examples of teaching in both types of VR today. That's my short definition of VR.
Thank you so much. Actually, I agree on what you said. Yeah, that it depends on how immersive you feel yourself in this environment. Yeah, thank you. So can you give a concrete example of your teaching in VR?
Well, I can take this one. I'll kick a start because all of us have very different experiences. My experience has been in Second Life. That means that my experience has been virtual, in half immerse, desktop immersive feeling. But from my experience, I can see that I can tell you that all these years, I had felt like I was there, you know, and the people I have had the chance to work with, the students I had a chance to share with, uh, feel like, you know, we had been in a classroom like before and even better. And again, you get used to your superpowers too. You know, like you have these different tools that allow you to walk through walls and you know, zoom in and teleport to many places. Um, those are that's what I call them. You know, superpowers. Basically, what I do in the past, I used to live in a country in Venezuela where I used to work in a university with all the equipment and all the tools that I needed for this. Right now, I am teaching online in another country, and my students are online, and they come from very different places, and that means that they can only connect through different devices. So virtual worlds are like a challenge for them. So what I do now is that, as everybody else is doing online, is teaching through Zoom. What I do is that I worked in virtual world, I set scenes, I get all the resources, and I teach through Zoom about virtual worlds. This morning, for example, I have a class, and I was working with a student in level 1, and she was learning about prepositions and nouns and adjectives. So my avatar was in Open Scene at the moment because there is an exhibition there. They are celebrating the Open Scene Fest. We have an exhibition there that's related to learning, where we exhibit all the work that my students made. We wrote poetry, we work with haikus, and then we set an exhibit. I did it with the help of my students and their opinions about how to do it. So through Zoom, they could connect to the virtual world. The wonderful thing will be like, okay, they could be there, but once again, some of them just have a phone, and some of them have a very old computer, and it's something new for them also, because these are students that are coming after the pandemic. Okay, so they are new to online learning. So but it is a great opportunity since we've been here for a long time and we know how to do it. They are benefiting from this. Also, on the projects that we work with Edunation and Evo Village, we have the chance to train teachers to and show them how to create and use, like Helena says before, storytelling in virtual world. So it's been fun, and I hope that we can continue doing this because my students, even though they don't have a headset, they don't have a computer, they don't even have an avatar, they know about it and they are learning instead of working with a book or a website. They're having like these three-dimensional ideas that are I'm sure that they are, from what I get from them, is that it's been something that it is memorable and fun. So that's my little contribution. Now, Heike,
And
Elena.
what Doris has done most amazingly is with the project Virtually Anywhere. Do you want to elaborate on that one just briefly? Because that was so stunning.
Okay, coming back to transmedia storytelling, we got the idea of using an audio program that is it's from the Cambridge University that is called Virtually Anywhere. It's just an audio series of 6 episodes. So what we did is that we brought all these episodes into Second Life, and we recreated the scenes and the spaces. I got a student from Germany at that moment and a student from Argentina. So this specifically this audio, this stories, and this audio is about students of archaeology students, and they need to go to places, so they cannot decide what to do, where to do. They need to work together to present their final paper and graduate. So they were fighting over what place they will write about. So we have the Terracotta Army in China, Teotihuacan in Mexico, and we added 2 new episodes where my students from Germany suggested a place in Jujuy in Argentina called Pucará de Tilcara, and the students from Germany suggested the Imperial Palace of Goslar. And they created 2 new episodes with these characters. And so we worked with different tools, and I built the scenes, and we use it for classes. These students, I got students that come and go. So different groups have been building on the story. So and I get the resources there, so I use them with new students. So I just love that we have the chance to create our own materials in virtual worlds and use them in a more creative way, because each group is different. So it's a very different
This is
experience every
where
time we use it.
Doris's work is absolutely stunning, because the way she rebuilds a simple podcast series from, was it Cambridge or British Council? I thought it was British Council. No,
It was Cambridge.
Cambridge. Okay.
Yes.
So it
we
was
get
a
these
simple
characters,
podcast
and these 3
series,
characters. Yes,
and then she
these
rebuilds the
characters have
scenes
adventures.
that were like located in different countries, even like a Chinese and archaeologically really challenging sites that she rebuilt. Wonderful. If I may just briefly say, yes, stunning. We're so proud of Doris. And by the way, Doris is the recipient of a Thinker Award. Now, the Thinker Award is being awarded by the Virtual World Best Practice in Education Conference on an annual basis. And it's a real privilege to be a Thinker Award recipient, and Doris has received one. So proud of her. And yeah, just briefly mention the kind of teaching experience that I'm experiencing as I'm doing the research and development with universities, and I've worked with over 20 universities so far in these EU-funded projects that are mostly my idea. Sort of, I initiate the projects when I have a crazy idea. So it's about games, or it's about creating machinima, or this one is about Clill in Minecraft now, Excalibur, Guinevere, Avalon, and all of the project names that I've been creating. But we basically get school classes or children into Minecraft, the last couple of projects. And that is so exciting to get. Even in this project that's coming now, we combine school classes from Finland and Germany and Italy and get them together in the same environment to let them build. 3D environments are fantastic tools for language practice, language production, language acquisition, not so much acquisition, but language usage. And this is what we are so happy about. And most amazing also what Helena does on her islands. Over to you.
Yes, I'm ready to share my experience. Thanks a lot for passing the floor to me, Heike. Before I start telling you about my professional experience teaching English as a second language, or English to speakers of other languages in virtual worlds, blending them with other online tools, I'd like to point out some information about how strong the community of educators is on OpenSim, or on Second Life in that matter. And we are so lucky to be surrounded by a team of different types of educators that are always eager to share their experience with us. Also, I must stress out the fact that there are a lot of materials creators. They offer their materials free in world. And this have their own material. In that community, in virtual world, we also have a lot of the who are eager to help, and a lot of them actually contribute for free to improve the virtual world environment. And this is quite convenient, to be honest, because you see, as the years go by, you see there's a lot of development in these 3D virtual world environments. Now, as for my concrete experience, some examples I can come up with. When teaching the language, students are particularly keen on, let's say, recreating parts of a book or a story itself from scratch, from world building to character representation. No matter what their difficulties may be, they are so motivated and they take it so seriously in order to overcome any technical difficulty, which is actually not a challenge for them, but it's pleasure. And their actual target, their aim, is either to film a machinima in that environment, or to disperse information online through different applications that are available for educators. So this type of transmediality promotes new approaches to speaking, to reading. Students are not only involved in developing their written skills, but also their spoken skills. They create storybooks, they produce podcasts, and they leave the podcasts. They can do so many things. And the variety that they actually are offered never lets them, feel bored. They always ask, my students always ask for something different, and they all have a say in that. They are encouraged to use these learning tools, to explore, to experiment. They remix. They have an active role as learners, whatever age group they belong to. Adults may be a little bit timid at first because they are not born with technology on their fingertips, but gradually they come to enjoy the experience. One more point which is worth mentioning is the different types of lessons you can have. They're not the traditional type of language lesson, although it can be, but you can even have CLIL lessons, for example, around historical events. My students have created scenes of local areas, for example, that they learn about in their history class. They are involved in heroes representations, in building the actual battlefield, for example, or with our Oscar Wilde and Transmediality project. They were involved in expressing their opinion about how the background in the stories is built and what the characters looked like, what they behaved. They leave their own articles or posts online. So there's they disperse the information. There is some kind of subjectivity because each one of them gives a different dimension of the story, but this is the actual motive for them in order to use the language. If you haven't tried teaching or learning in virtual worlds, virtual reality, 3D environments, then you should give it a try, really. And you will be amazed how fast you will be at catching the new information about the technology. I could
And we were also amazed at
go on
how
talking
your
about
students,
my experience. Sorry,
yes,
Heike, you were
we were
saying?
also amazed
One,
how your students created a book, create a story, yeah, with the
yes,
Oscar Wilde's
that's right.
impressions.
Yes, yes.
Stunning.
Yeah. And they like all kind of outcome that they produce. They're very proud of them, and we also exchange material amongst the students. They prefer. They don't feel intimidated. Quite the contrary, they're proud of their end products. Also, one more point to bring up is training teachers on V languages for Electronic Village online. This is an eye-opener. It's an amazing experience. And so far, we've trained quite a few teachers, educators, how to build in world and how to engage in immersive storytelling. Well, this is all from me in brief.
Thank you so
I
much.
wouldn't like to take
have,
up a lot of time.
Yeah, we have one person from the audience who would like to say something.
I would.
L'Oreal?
I would. Thank you. I have 1,000 questions, but I'll just start with one. Um, First of all, thank you for encouraging students to do the homework or to do their work in VR too, because it is such a everything you just listed is true perfection, because they become more engaged and they want to do more. Now, in the traditional classroom, getting a student to do anything, I don't care their age, whether they're 80 years old or 2 years old, is painful.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Yes.
so be aware that that is something that is that is such a gift, absolutely such a gift that you're doing that. But and you also start to bring up, which was my question, of how do you get, we hear often from teachers, many embrace this, they think it's beautiful, but many come in and they go, I barely have enough time to research and do my classes and things. I don't have time to build a world. And I tell them it's no different than putting a PowerPoint together. You can do it very simple with drag and drop technology. If you want to learn Unity, that's up to you. But can you address that when you've been working with teachers to get past their fear of not only the technology but also the time phobia? They're so protective of their time.
Mm-hmm.
It is quite a challenge, but we've discovered a couple of 3D solutions that are really easy to build in. Yeah? Take Frame VR or Mozilla Hubs with Spoke. We've also done extensive workshops because building an OpenSim is actually, interestingly, fairly easy once you get there. Entering OpenSim and Second Life has an orientation curve that is a little bit intensive. So you need to spend a couple of hours just to orient, just to walk, fly, and what have you. Once you've done that, then building is fairly cool, fairly easy. And you'll find that in AllSpace VR as well, with importing 3D objects and from the asset store. And AllSpace does encourage people to have their own virtual space at the beginning, and in the orientation lesson itself you'll find that there are some building skills included already, and I find that awesome, to be honest. I really like that.
I would like to contribute also that you don't have to build a lot. If there are some things that are already there, for example, Second Life is full of interesting places where you can go. There are many events, or so sometimes just sitting in a place and changing the environment is enough. Okay, if this morning I got this class, I just started taking things out of my inventory to talk about objects, and my student was describing the objects, which talking about colors, adjectives, and she was surprised because she didn't know what I was going to pull out of my inventory, you know. So we work with prepositions, and so you don't need a lot. So what my recommendation is, just start simple, join a community, wherever you go, platform or world that you decide to start with. Join a community of educators and they will help you around, and it's not that complicated. So
Beautiful.
you can talk to us, okay? You can
I
talk
love
to
it.
to,
Yeah,
Before we
to all of us,
get
and we
to
help
the
you.
next before we get to the next person, as we always say, there's nothing like technical problems when we're doing this. So Pio, if do not have to mute yourself, but if you could hit the host tools and make sure that the amplify my voice is blue. If you could turn that on, because we can barely hear you. For some reason, you've manually turned off amplify. So if you could do that, then we could hear you. Beautiful. All right. Nergiz, you were saying?
Yeah, I was actually going to argue against that a little bit because I've done teacher training a lot in Second Life, and also now with I'm not doing teacher training, but I know actually it is not that easy to teach well, whether it's online or in VR, and even when you teach on Zoom. Lesson preparation takes a lot longer than for the face-to-face classroom. And again, doing it well also is another thing. And you have to also consider that many teachers are not paid for preparation time. It's for some, it's depending on how you're employed, you might be paid for everything you do, but there are also many situations the teachers are only paid for the teaching hours. So it is actually understandable that some teachers don't want to take that extra time. And it's just like in the physical classroom, some teachers spend their evenings and weekends to prepare extra material that makes classes more fun, more interesting. But it's not something you can require from teachers. So we have to be careful also. It's not that there is phobia or anything, but they need a lot of support. Fortunately, there are communities, as you all mentioned, so that definitely helps a lot.
Nergiz, how about Immerse Online? Because Immerse Online actually provides the teachers with everything that they need. Do they appreciate that?
Yes, well, I'm sure they do. Because I think another thing is that in Second Life, for example, desktop VR, it's perhaps a bit easier to build because there is a marketplace where you can buy ready-made houses, ready-made everything almost, right? In fully immersive VR, it's a bit more complicated, especially if you don't just want static objects and environments, but interactive ones. As you know, Immerse is built for full immersion language lessons, which you use the Meta Quest 2 headset for, and this means you can use your gestures, your body controllers to for example, with your controllers, you can grab things with your hands. And there is a lot of research that says that's actually very good for language learning. So, for example, a lesson about recipes or food items can take place in a kitchen scene where students they can actually cook. So they can take an egg, break it into the pan, switch on the fire. If they're frying something, they're not careful, the pan catches fire, for example. So it's all very realistic. But they can take a knife, they can chop up an onion or a tomato and then wash the dishes afterwards. And to do this, you need VR developers, you need engineers. Teachers can't. Very few teachers are developers at the same time.
Can I just mention there that it's quite impressive what Immerse Online has done here, because they've actually created a VR solution that allows for language lessons, settings, and vocabulary and prompts and self-study time, an all-inclusive package, as it were. And I was just wondering often how students respond to this immersive environment where they are requested to enter with a Quest 2, which is like a VR headset, so they can't even have lessons without a VR headset, and how they experience this or how excited they are. And I was asking Nergiz, tell us a little bit about your research. How is the effectiveness of this language learning in VR?
Yeah, well, I don't think we can go into this in detail. We don't have that time, but we are doing a lot of research, also longitudinal research, and the findings are and will be publicly available on our website.
Yeah, I can
I'm
mention
just
a
aware
couple
of the, yeah, I'm
sorry,
just
sorry.
aware of the time because I think we only have 15 minutes left, and so I don't want to take up that time if we have any
Sure.
other audience questions.
Yeah.
But thank you, Heike, for your support and for your encouraging words.
Yeah, I mean, I experienced a very timid German girl who I sat down at my computer in our pilot projects and said, look, here's Minecraft, and here is another young girl of the same age in Taiwan, and all she does is speak English. You have to talk to her in English. Oh, I can't speak English, can't speak English. But then, lo and behold, an hour into the game, into this immersive experience, and she was talking, she was exciting, she was laughing, she was enjoying herself. And we have tons of this experience by language learners who in even like where Shelvin said, they get a whole group of Chinese come to the US to learn English, and in the class where she's sitting there, the university, and they sit in front of her, they don't say a word. And then once she takes them into an immersive environment, they forget everything around them and they start speaking. And this experience, which isn't, there's still little research done because obviously these environments are relatively new, but this experience, we have tons of them where we see people enter Second Life. Entered Second Life, a French guy, I ended Second Life. 3 months later, I see him again. And I said, where were you? He said, oh, I got involved in role-playing Sims. And his English was better than mine, goodness. So, but
yeah,
let's talk about the actual future of language learning. Excuse me.
Yeah, because you started now with research, there's quite a lot of research already, and similar experiences as those you have mentioned. For example, we had a research project of one of our partners with young students in Barcelona, and interestingly, they performed in the classroom at A1, A2 level, but in Immerse, they performed at B1, B2 level, so much higher level, the same student. So in one class, in the same week, let's say, they perform lower in the physical classroom and much higher in the VR environment.
Yeah. Just wondering whether we should slowly get into talking about the future. Is there any questions from the audience, by the way? Auréa?
Yes, yeah, that was my next question. Was what do you see right now? I feel like we're in, we've been crawling around on the ground, but we're still wearing diapers. We still have a ways to go. So what is the future for language learning in XR? And is it just limited to VR? I mean, is AR playing a role, mixed reality? Love to know.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, AR will play a role, but some people, they are divided. Some say it will be AR, some say it will be VR, but they have different roles to play. It depends what you want to do with AR. For example, you can put on your VR glasses and overlay information into the environment that you are physically. For example, vocabulary, the words of the objects you're looking at into in your real world, very simplified. And we've talked about VR, where you have a simulated environment. But for me, what I hope we will have at some point is a metaverse with interconnected virtual worlds that is safe. That's very important with privacy issues and everything. Multilingual, so it's not just English-based. And that provides a lot of interesting places and events where language learners can go to immerse themselves in the language they are learning. and for, you know, when they like and for as long as they like. So rather than having to travel, which not everybody can do, many learners will be able from home, hopefully, to experience different things, meet people in different interesting places, and do things together to learn a language or practice a language. That's my vision.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
I think we are on the right track. You know, we already all that we had experienced during all these years is going to speed up things in other platforms. Okay, because this, for example, VR or virtual reality now with complete immerse experiences can learn from what we have been doing for so many years. And again, there's no going to be just one place or just one way. Again, the world is not the same everywhere. So there will be places and countries and universities and schools that will have all the tools that are required. But there are some others that, but yeah, at least right now they have a chance with phones and the world interconnected the way it is, you know, to mix and match all the tools and participate, even though if they are not fully in one place, they can learn from that and have and maybe get enthusiastic and create their own way to participate. So, well, that's what I think.
Well, I'd like to mention that a little bit of my experience. In 2005, I initiated the Lancelot ear-funded project, which was about language learning in a virtual classroom setting, which is what we know today to be Zoom. Yeah. Back then, there were tons of video conferencing systems already around. Microsoft NetMeeting was one of the very ones. Still, it took 15 years and a pandemic for video conferencing to become the norm. And I believe there's similar time range expected for virtual environments. I mean, I entered that in 2009 with the beginning of Second Life hype, and we now have 22. So I guess another 5 years we'll need to go. Maybe we need another pandemic. I don't know, until virtual and 3D learning will be the norm, even though the metaverse has been in discussion now with Facebook making big airs. But remember, Facebook has been doing the Oculus Rift or the Oculus, the headsets 5 years ago. And 5 years ago, Google also had issued, within 6 weeks of them announcing taking over Oculus, Google issued the Google, you know, the cardboard. Yeah. And still, even though it was there back then, it was everything already in the hype and in the talking, and people were talking about 3D and everything, and there were videos coming out. Still, it takes years and years. I believe something like all space VR will be the norm in minimum 5 years to come, perhaps even another pandemic. Yeah. So as regards the timeline.
Thank you. Helena, do you have anything to add?
Yes, may I also point out that virtual reality and virtual worlds have been changing education as we knew it in the traditional sense. There are even more people, there are even more teachers, educators who blend it or who use it for their everyday classroom situations to provide new types of experiences that help learners develop and enhance essential skills and competencies. So it is a wish, and I know it is going to come true, to see more classes evolving around this particular type of technology because of the learning experiences that they promote. This is all I can say. It is the only way is up, really. It is bound to catch up very soon.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your amazing
you too.
examples
Could
and
I just
answers.
mention what I believe is the breakthrough for virtual environments? And the breakthrough certainly will be browser-based solutions. FrameVR and by Verbila and Mozilla Hubs are groundbreaking technologies which are amazingly coming in now. And even Allspace needs to be installed. There's a software that needs to be installed, and you need to enter and you need to find the place. And Second Life and OpenSim and all of these other virtual worlds, they all need viewers, they need installations. And that's the biggest hurdle: accessibility and cross-platform and mobile usage. So these are hurdles that really need to be overcome until this kind of technology will become normal, and I'd say used by many more people. And the headset, the VR headset, the Quest 2 that you have problems buying in Europe, and the cost factor of these devices is a hindrance. Not only a hindrance, but also you need some really good laptops and experiences for this. So accessibility will be the key for a universal usage of these kind of platforms. So we are still a bit the nerds, yeah, we're the pioneers, but we have to do the development now because by the time the next pandemic hits and we need this, and to be honest, I was really, really surprised that Meta, or Facebook used to be then, did not launch their 3D platform Horizon, yeah, during the pandemic on a global scale. They only had a beta version since beginning of 2020, and they didn't launch any large-scale entering of this wonderful 3D solution, even during 2 years of pandemic. We haven't done that. And there must be a real reason for Meta not to have done it. They had to overcome some real technical challenges, I believe. It was closed for everyone around, like outside America.
Great
I would
point.
like
Thank
to
you.
add something else that, the ones that are finding it hard to come into virtual worlds are teachers, most of it. But we're teaching new generations of gamers. I was surprised exploring the OpenSim Fest exhibition. I found an exhibition with games. Okay, they were in world, and you could access them through media on a prim. So you can like play it in world or play it outside in a browser. And I use it with my student because I know he is a gamer. So I didn't have to explain much. And we just played the game in English, and it was about finding a hero, and there was story, there was audio, and he could move his player in the game, his avatar in the game really well, and he got to the end. When I try it myself, I couldn't. I died a lot of times. He did it really easy and fast, and he was just focused on the use of the language. He was explaining me what to do. So this is something that is important also, that virtual worlds for new generations is not something that is going to be very difficult.
Well said. Thank you. Does anyone else
I think
have
time
anything to
Also in
time's
say?
the
up.
audience,
Mhm.
anybody in the audience
Unfortunately,
would like to chip in here? What do you think the
yeah,
future of language
it's
learning will be?
I always have something to say. So, and I'd love
Yes,
to hear
please.
from anyone else. And the event, we're now, over time, so I'll keep it brief. But I agree with all of you that we're going to have more realism. We're going to have more interconnectedness, and this is going to become a normal part of our life. We still have the technology, the hardware itself. We still need to leap through that process. And the announcement within the last month or so of contact lenses that are designed for AR, but they also are working on the technology to darken them out to have a virtual experience. So just contact lenses are going to make a huge, huge difference in all of this. And I think that's coming. So we could switch immediately from a mixed reality world to a, with whatever button or verbal command, right to a totally immersive. And I just can't wait for that moment because the headsets are exhausting. But I love that we're going to have that. And the more interactable these become and the more natural, it starts early. The earlier we can get people involved in this technology, the more they're going to integrate it into their day to day. I mean, that's my narrow little perspective on it. And language learning, when the best language learning that I have experienced is immersive. When I go into a country and I'm surrounded by the language and I'm forced to speak it, or I don't get fed and I don't work, I don't, I can't even find a place to sleep, whatever it is, it's because I'm forced into the language to really push myself, and it's in my ears constantly and my brain becomes familiar with it. And we have that opportunity without an airplane ticket to do that in VR. I love that. That's me.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
thanks
So
everyone.
I think,
I'm
yeah,
afraid I
thank
have
you.
to leave now.